How's everybody doing this evening? Hope you're doing well. Anyway, tonight's live stream is going to be on why I am on YouTube. I get a lot of questions like that. Why are you on YouTube, especially when I start, I don't want to say complaining, but that's not the right word, expressing my views on censorship and stuff and how social media platforms are run. But yeah, we're going to go into tonight why I'm on YouTube, okay? And why I think everybody should have a channel on YouTube or some social media platform. That would be an awesome thing to have. But if you want to fast forward into the video a couple minutes, up to about 3 minutes, do a little talking for waiting for people to show up, for YouTube to send out notifications, stuff like that. Get my little gang going here. So anyway, I tell you what, let's talk about the weather. That's always something good to talk about. It's been one cold spring. I mean, it's almost June, and I'm having to sit there and wear warm clothes when I go out to go work during the day. It's crazy. You know, we haven't had much heat this winter. This winter. That's what I feel. I feel like I'm still in winter. It's been so cold. But it's supposed to maybe get in the 80s here in the next couple days. Can you believe June and it's just finally getting into the 80s? But at least we got rain. So, you know, at least we ain't getting tornadoes and the place tore up like a lot of other places are in this country. We're kind of dry, but the wind blows a lot here. So it's one thing about here in Nebraska. The wind blows a lot, and they don't allow windmills in this state. So, but they want to get them in here. Anyway, like and subscribe if you would. Please share the content if you like it. Channel needs all the support I can. You know, I'm going to get into why I'm on YouTube. Theodore N. Davis. Have you watched WWE? John Cannon turned heel. No, I don't watch WWE. Besides, it's supposed to be WWF. But anyway, back in the days of the Claw, Vern Gagne, and stuff, back in those days. Hi, how's everybody doing? Well, let's get into the subject since people are showing up. Why am I on YouTube? Because I've had enough. After Oliver Anthony came out with that song, Richmond, North of Richmond, plus his other music I think is great. What's going on tonight? Yeah, we're talking about why I'm on YouTube. Like I said, I've had enough. You know, I was never much into technology. I didn't even watch YouTube or nothing like that. And then my kids started showing me, because I like to watch a lot of history programs and stuff, and they show me YouTube so I can, I see, hail Nick. But, you know, I was never really into YouTube. But after the Oliver Anthony song, and I knew there was a social media platform where I could go out and express my opinions, whether you're heard or not depends on who's running the social media platform. But, you know, when you've had enough and it's just something you got to do. I mean, I don't want to sit there and get all nasty and violent, but I don't have a problem running my mouth and expressing my opinion. Now, a lot of people stay quiet, and I hope through my channel I am speaking for some people. I know that YouTube clamps down on me because when the algorithm falls asleep for a while, you know, I get a lot of views and stuff and get subscribers, and then they shut it down. But see, I didn't realize that, you know, before I got on YouTube, I listened to these content creators and they talk about the shadow banning and the censorship and stuff. And I never understood that until you start getting your analytics. But yeah, I got a platform here where I can sit there and tell a politician, no matter what side they're on, okay? Because I don't have a problem calling any politician out for stupid stuff. I don't follow no donkey or elephant banner, okay? I'm an American. But, all this stuff that's building up, I want to inform people. A lot of people are asleep. It's hard to believe that people in today's world can go on with their normal everyday lives and not see what's going on with the inflation in the stores. And they think, oh, it's just going to get better. Navy vet here. Say hi. Hey, Navy. I'm a jarhead. Spent quite a bit of time on ship. Like you guys always say, you jarheads ain't shit. You're still Department of the Navy. Anyway, good to see ya. Tell you what, I being in that Gator Navy, floating around on the sea and stuff, I'm glad I never joined the Navy. The best thing about being a Marine, when you pull into port, you have no duty. The sailors are there working on the ship. We get released after chow to go on Liberty. Thank you for your service. Des Moines rocks. Yep. Des Moines, Iowa, huh? I'm originally from Minnesota, but now here in Nebraska because I couldn't handle Tim Waltz's Minnesota anymore. I was getting kind of psychologically stressful, you might say. Alberta, Canada here. Canada. I tell you what, this channel is international. Philippines, England, Australia, Russia. Started talking about Russia that one day, but I can't speak Russian. Okay. But anyway, then this thing, this is YouTube, social media. I'm just going to say social media is the new way. I mean, you can have your own channel. You got a Hollywood studio right in your phone. How much better can it get than that? You have a grievance, you can sit there and say it instead of just sitting in your house, saying it to the walls. Navy loves their Marines. Yep. Yeah, we're naval infantry is what we are. So, but, you guys got to ship us from here to there. Yeah, I did a little bit of time on a few ships. I got my Liberty cuffs and stuff, so got my float jacket, that type of stuff. Oh, yeah. The good old days. We got your back if needed. Yeah, well, those 16-inch guns. I got to see the Iowa, and I got pictures of it doing a full broadside down in Puerto Rico. Cool as heck. They, when we were on ship, they told us it was going to happen, so everybody was on deck with their cameras and stuff so they could get pictures of it. It was something else. These are things you can see something in a video all day long, but seeing it in real life is just too cool. What inspired you to join the Navy in the first place? Hi. How's everybody doing tonight? Appreciate you being here. Hit that like and subscribe, and let's cram it to YouTube. This is the thing with YouTube. You can have content, and like I say, when the algorithm falls asleep and you watch your analytics just climb, where you'll get, I don't know, I got 131 subscribers, right? So you figure if I were to get 5,000 views in an hour, that would be crazy, right? Or 4,000 views on one live stream. That would be crazy, right? Well, that's what happens when the algorithm falls asleep. This is the thing. Why am I on YouTube? Why don't I go to X or stuff? Because I don't want to be in an echo chamber. And besides, X just has a different bias. The algorithms are set up to the person who owns the social media's bias. It's ridiculous. If you go to a social media platform, just like going to a bookstore, I want to see a book on Atlantis. I want to see a book on UFOs. You get to go see that book. It's plus whatever they got in the libraries these days. Lots of guys from the Navy have seen some pretty crazy shit at night on night watch. Yeah, I tell you what, our Berlin area, on one of the ships I was on, the Austin, LPD Austin, our Berlin area is right where they went down to the engine room. And when they'd vent that engine room, our Berlin area was always hot as hell. So I'd sit there and I'd go out, sneak out on deck at night, and I'd try to find the places to hide and sleep on deck. And I'd always be getting woke up by that watch. But, oh, that was miserable sleeping in that Berlin area. Anyway, but ship life was cool. For Marine, it's different. Well, unless you're on a carrier or COP duty. But a Marine that's on a Gator freighter that's floating around waiting for the call to come, you go on land, you come back ship, you clean your weapons for 3 days, and then you'd sit there and do nothing. I read so many books when I was on ship. We're on deck getting a suntan, and the sailors are working their asses off. Anyway, but like I say, we pulled into port. We got Liberty right after morning breakfast, and the sailors they had their, just because we're in the port, they still got their ship to run. Anyway, but I tell you what, I had some great friends of sailors. I know we're getting off subject, but I even been an aft steering dude. I've even been at the bottom of the ship, at the back and aft steering. That little room that's about 4.5 feet tall with the big old bar. Oh yeah, I've been down there. Crazy. Hey man, would you rather have 100 of your men with no equipment whatsoever, and they need not be allowed to use any weapon, versus a silverback gorilla? I don't know. I want to go after Bigfoot, but I'm definitely going to be able to protect myself. Whatever makes the odds a little bit better in my favor. What were your thoughts on the Cuban Missile Crisis? Oh my goodness, that's a good one. I tell you what, my thoughts on the Cuban Missile Crisis is Khrushchev blinked. Of course he blinked, right? He turned his ships around, but why? Why did Khrushchev blink? I think the main reason Khrushchev blinked and didn't go all the way, because he didn't want to turn the whole world into what Stalingrad looked like when they were fighting that war there. Remember, he was there in Stalingrad because it was safer for him in Stalingrad than it was in Moscow around Stalin. Are birds real, or are they the CIA drones? Last question I have. But, that's why I think he turned. A bit of humanity hit him more. Maybe he was a smart one. Backing down was obviously the better choice at that time. I mean, Kennedy had people, just like Trump has people all the time, wanting them to sit there and start conflicts. Any excuse, and then it was nuclear. So, I think Khrushchev blinked because of Stalingrad. I think, that past experience is what motivated him to save the world. You can tell me birds are real. Anyway, you got to get some people on YouTube. Got to give them some space. Exactly why I keep my 20 gauge at my bedside. Well, where I live, you don't have to worry about such stuff like that. When you ain't got a lot of people around, you can leave keys in the vehicle, doors unlocked. Okay, I'm 2.5 hours from where I live. I work where I live. And my house down there in southern Nebraska where I live is unlocked. I don't have to lock it. I keep my keys in my vehicle. I could never handle living in anything else other than that. I always like to spy on me and steal my secrets. Anyway, get back to the subject, being on YouTube. I think everybody should have a channel on YouTube. I would love to see everybody. If YouTube had to deal with 300 million channels in a couple weeks, or just 200 million conservative channels, they couldn't shut us all up then. The tidal wave they'd have to close themselves down. But the thing is, YouTube would start making money then, because they'd actually have content down there that people want to watch. Screw it, I'm making a channel. Yeah. It's not that hard. You got an email, go to YouTube, make a channel. Okay? This is how we express ourselves as Americans. This is the only way somebody sees you. You could have put an ad in the paper all day long. They're not going to see it. I mean, look at some of the ads you see on social media. I mean, those won't even fly on TV. Hey, how's it going, Carol? Good to see you. How many times did you fart today? Oh, boy. See, I'll never have moderators because I believe anybody should be able to come to my channel and make a fool of them all day long. Make a fool of yourself all day long if you want. Just like I can get on my channel and make a fool of myself all day long if I want. But if you want to come here and act like an immature imbecile, more power to you. It's your freedom of speech. If that's the way you want to express your freedom of speech, so be it. Anyway, opinions. Anyway, I'm just glad everybody's here. Like I said, I want a platform where people get along. No matter what your political affiliation, no matter what your gender is, or, you know, everybody has a right to have the freedom of choice. Okay? But see, the thing is, you got to accept the consequences of your choices. That's not what nobody else has to suffer. Did you know Helen Keller had a treehouse? Anyway, see, this is what, like I say, I'm not going to, see, if Google was in here right now, they'd be erasing that stuff, but they're not in here tonight. So anyway, wonder why. Google's usually in here, and I see it when they erase messages, but they're not in here tonight. But like I say, I like everybody to have a channel. Express your opinions. This is, like I say, this is the way people are going to see you. And what you have to say, somebody may agree with, but they don't have the courage to get on and say it. Should we be free to turn kids trans? No. I mean, kid can't vote till they're 18. Kid can't own a gun. A kid can't buy cigarettes. But you're telling me a kid's mature enough and mentally capable to handle that I don't want to be the gender I was born. It's silliness. I don't want to get into the silliness. Like I say, that's for a different time. The insane asylum's wide open in this country. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm conservative, I'm old-fashioned, and when I was growing up, that stuff would have never flew. And how it became acceptable or tried to become acceptable is beyond me. Now, I'm not saying we didn't have people like that when I was growing up, but they kept it in the closet. It wasn't shoved down my throat. They realized they were the minority. Okay, but they still had friends, but nobody knew about it. Okay? But, you know, that's another reason I'm on here. Because you need some type of push against this continuous, nonstop mental illness that's being pushed at everybody. Okay? You need people saying that make sure you don't follow too many pharmaceuticals and what they have to say. Companies, okay? They're just in it for profit. But, you know, in the pandemic, I never played the game. I never played the game of Simon Says. World is crazy now. It's beyond crazy. I mean, like I keep saying, maybe some of you weren't alive, but I remember the days back in 96, 97, 98, when all we had to worry about was Monica Lewinsky. That was it. That was the big news for months and months and months and months and months. Nothing about wars, nothing about the budget, nothing about race shit. No politicians getting on there saying you need to hate your neighbors. None of that stuff. Oh, Bruce Jenner. Okay, at least I'll say one thing about Bruce Jenner. He does believe that transgender men should not compete with women. But I tell you what, I ate a lot of Wheaties with his picture on the box, okay? It's just, it's strange. It's strange. Do you mean the pandemic? What inspired you to go live on YouTube? Because my videos weren't getting no views. I do videos and they wouldn't get no views. So a friend told me to start doing these type of live under this type of forum, and I get more views than I have. I mean, that one night I had almost 3,000 views. I normally get 25 or 30, and I had 3,000. See, that's what happens when the algorithm falls asleep. Now, see, they'll sit there and get you to think that nobody wants to listen to you. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. But on my channel that I got canceled, I had a lot of people tell me that I was like a country Joe Rogan. Now, I listened to Joe Rogan a couple times. I'm not a Joe Rogan. I just, a couple times. I don't see the comparison, but maybe he just don't put up with shit either. What's your videos about? Go watch them. Go watch them. I got my horses. I got my dogs. I got my place. Do you want to see what type of person I am? Watch my videos. Watch me working on my place, cleaning it up. When I first came to the farm, it was a shithole. That was back in the end of January. Look at the videos that I got now. You'll see what type of person I am. I'm a simple, humble, hardworking individual who believes that everybody has freedom of choice. And I have a freedom to speak, okay? If you don't like my choices, that's fine. But you still don't have the right to stop me, okay? I'm not hurting nobody. I'm just on YouTube giving my opinion. It upsets the algorithm a lot. I have the algorithm. I think I'm smoke checking some of its chips every once in a while, okay? But gets it thinking. It's this thing about the algorithms and computers. It's no different than the way we were taught in the 1980s. Garbage in, garbage out. And now they sit there with these algorithms and AI, teach a computer bias, teaching them that the founding fathers were black. Remember that with Google? Clarence Thomas is white. I don't even know where you can get that. But see, if this stuff don't be corrected, that's the way it's going to be taught. That'll be the way it's going to be in the future. So, I guess I'll have my videos out there on the internet, the World Wide Web, saying, no, that's not true. Would you agree that the general were free to do what we're told? That in general, we're free to do what we're told. I'm not going to be told to do anything. I'm going to follow my pursuit of happiness. Does not include a Marine over me screaming at me, telling me what to do. I gave that up. And that's one thing when you're in the service and you get out, you realize how many rights you gave up to sit there and be in the service. And when you get out, especially after the way you served your country, there's no way in hell you're going to give that up. What is your duty? I sub. Thank you for subbing. I appreciate it. What is your duty? You mean my purpose in this? I want to sit there and get the word out, wake people up. People can see what the true enemy is in this country, and it isn't your neighbor. It's your local politician and your state politician and your federal politician. The one that's telling you that your neighbor's your enemy, that's your enemy, okay? If you don't know who your enemy is, they're going to come to you as your savior every time. Government's your enemy, but hey, we're going to come in and save you, and people fall for it all the time. You know, all the hate and discontent, that's the only thing coming out of Congress these days. Nothing to help us out, just this hate and discontent, get in front of the speakers, tell them why you need to hate your neighbor to cause division. Well, all they are is spending their money. And then they're getting upset because they're trying to, well, Elon Musk was trying to make a more efficient government. What he realizes, I think Elon Musk realizes now that that's not going to work, that, you know, DC loves to spend people's money, and there's nothing that's going to get them from doing it. If Elon Musk were to save them $1 trillion, the government would spend $2 trillion, okay? Elon Musk, I think, is finally figuring that out. Do you feel that we're misleading during your service? Do I feel I was misled? Boy, that's an interesting way to put that. Was I misled? I'm going to have to make a whole new video on this. Because when I got out, see, the thing is, when you get out of service, you're not in it no more, that's when you realize that you live in a different world in the service. I feel like I got conned, if you want us to be totally honest with you. I feel like we got used by politicians. I can't justify everything I did anymore. Was I naive, or was I following orders? That's why I have problems. That's why I'm on YouTube too, because it helps with my PTSD. Instead of me holding it in all the time, I have a platform I can get out and express myself. Okay? I'm a lone wolf. I sit out here by myself. People have a hard time being around me because I don't have a problem voicing my opinion. And I'll stand up for myself. I don't have a problem shutting somebody down if they're trying to shut me down. I always say that, you know, us guys in the service, the ones that did what we did, they should have threw us all on an island. You know, and I was forced off, thanks to Clinton. I got 8 years in, a thank you, and $12,000, a thank you, and adios, because they cut all the services. They ran it like a big business. And then they sit there and want to get on all these government workers being late, cut off. At least you're getting severance pay like I did. But they didn't care when they were cutting the service. Why the hell should I care about when they're cutting non-essential personnel? Non-essential personnel. Can you imagine a business running on non-essential personnel? If you're non-essential, that means you're not needed, and you shouldn't be there making a paycheck. But, you know, when the government don't have to worry about a bottom line. By the way, yeah, I have feelings about, you know, what happened during the service and stuff. But you know what? I did it. That was part of my life. I had wanted to be a Marine ever since the 8th grade. I was fulfilling a dream, and I got to do a lot of things, and I did what I was told. People always say, what'd you do? I did what I was told, and I did it well. You know, you do become a robot. I don't know how to describe it. But like I say, you don't think like that when you're in it. But when you're out, a lot of the stuff comes back to you. And it's not as black and white as it was before, okay? That's one thing in your service, everything's black and white. Not a lot of gray area. Well, when you become a civilian again, you start, like I say, experience the civilian life in the freedom, and everybody that you're around is not thinking the same way and dressed the same way, and, you know, whatever. You start becoming, not that I wasn't independent, but your thoughts become more independent, if that's a better way of putting it. So anyway, that's why they have young people do it, because they're more easily swayed. Anyway, But that's, like say, one reason I'm on YouTube too. All I know is there's a lot of shit happening in this world, and I'm upset. I just don't understand how people can be so angry and not want to solve no problems. I mean, we just find reasons to sit there and have more problems. And we sit there and the problems we have, we don't fix, and we just make them worse. Our country's in debt, so what do? We spend more money and go deeper in debt. You know, our children are being born with debt. They don't even have to wait till they're 18 anymore. What kind of people borrow money from their children, unborn children in the country? What kind of people do that? What kind of, same type of person that takes credit card out in their kids' name and stuff like that. That's the type of people that do that. We want to keep funding our lifestyle with money from kids that aren't even born yet. What's their lifestyle going to be? What kind of future are they going to have? They're going to have. You know, when the third world country does hit it, this country, when we actually start feeling what this country should be feeling, and the Band-Aid fixes can't be fixed no more, and we're no longer the world currency, you know, that's going to be a big day. You know, we don't have welfare. We don't have money for that no more. When the lifestyle of the American is totally, you're talking worse. Well, even if we went back to the Great Depression days, that would totally destroy how many people in this country? I mean, they didn't have welfare and stuff, social services during the Great Depression. That's why you have soup kitchen lines. I always got, how long would the soup kitchen lines be if we didn't have EBT and SNAP? See, we just mask all the problems. Throw some money at it. And you got everybody believing, oh, it's fixed. I don't see it no more. We can't be worse than the Depression. I don't see that. Well, for one thing, they don't show it. How many people are losing their homes now again? It's just crazy. You know, people can't afford to live, and they just go deeper in debt. And then you got these people that feel they should spend their money on what they want. And all of us other people should spend money. Our money should go on for what they need. See, the whole mindset's screwed up. Anyway, I got to get rolling tonight. I can't stay that late. I had a hard day's work, and I got a long day tomorrow again. But I just want to say that's why I'm on YouTube. I've had enough. Okay? And I'm going to speak my mind. And I'll get through the algorithm no matter what it takes. I got a few little games I can play with this computer program. Anyway. But, you know, I appreciate everybody being here. We need to spread the word. Support your American conservative channels. You know, search them out. See what they got to say. All right, they're hard to find, but they're out there. Even the little guys. You know, I figured out YouTube and social media platforms, they don't want people like me here, the little guy telling the truth and stuff. My version of the truth. They want people on here that say the sky's going to fall, that'll cause division, hate, discontent, division. You know, they get those guys on there, like the ones that are spreading World War III, the sky's falling tomorrow. The thing is, these channels, there's one big one that says it, nothing ever happens. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't prepare, but, you know, how many times should we have been at World War III and destroyed if all these other YouTubers are right? See, but it gets clicks. See, they'll promote that stuff because it gets people excited. You can control somebody that's fearful, okay? You can kind of nudge them this way and nudge them that way. And that's why they got those people just spreading the fear. Then you got the ones that are spreading the mental illness. What I see some on these social media platforms, especially TikTok, where people actually get paid for this, well, that's just adding to their mental illness, okay? I hope they're saving their money but when they ain't making no money on YouTube or their TikTok no more, they're gonna have issues. But don't worry. When the algorithm falls asleep, my channel takes off. But then they always gotta slap me down, get too many subscribers, get too many views, get too many likes, all that stuff. But I just never understood that an old man sitting in his chair discussing what he feels is important can be so terrifying to rich and powerful billionaires that they want nothing but to shut you up. You know, that's the thing. Content creators take time to make their content. Okay? And people do enjoy watching it. So all I know is on YouTube, this platform, you see a ton of stupid ass commercials. Dumb. Well, I'll watch some shows and they'll have a commercial break on an hour-long program, and you got a commercial break every 2 minutes? Every 2 minutes? So on an hour's time, I got 30 minutes worth of commercials? And you can't figure out how to change your business model? But you went to business school? You know, this is the thing. Social media platforms. In order to be a successful business, you need to have a product or a service that the public wants. Not that you want to shove down the public's throat. Okay? And then everything will come. But, I guess that's just simple economics and simple business sense. Okay? But in a world where we want to control thought and everything, well, we're just going to control everything. But I'm telling you, what they're pushing, I mean, I can't imagine some of these people that make these TikTok videos. What are they going to do in 30 years if they have kids or grandkids? And say, Grandpa, what the hell were you thinking? I mean, what the hell were you thinking? At least when my grandkids watch it, my kids watch me, they say, well, that's just Grandpa, okay? Or that's just Dad. But if they saw me doing some of that other stuff, they might come down and see me and make sure that Dad's mind's all in the right place. Anyway, these people get paid for it. Anyway, Sodom and Gomorrah, the lessons are in the Bible, what's going to happen. We don't even have to go to the Bible, go to Rome. Same thing's going to happen. Decadence, immorality, all that type of stuff. Crazy. Anyway, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Keep the channel growing. I'm fighting YouTube as much as I can. But, the algorithm's got a lot of power, but it can be tricked. So, but if they like people seeing that they like the content and stuff, and the subscribers come there, and share it. Sharing is very important. Even my shorts, if you go and you see my thoughts of the day, my questions of the day, my shorts, go check them out. I just simple, short. A lot of people will make the post, they'll write the post down and they'll put it as a post. No, I'm not going to put the words as a post. I'm going to look at my screen and I'm going to say it so you can see who it's coming from. So it's not fake. I'm not hiding behind a post. Now, I do have posts on my channel, but they're of me with my bear, my Annie. And when I was in the Marine Corps, I got some pictures of that if you want to check out my posts. So back when I look different. It was a different life back then. But that's why I like my thoughts of the day, my shorts. And I have other shorts. But like you say, you want to see what type of person I am? Check out my shorts. I got it all right there, me working on my yard. And a lot of the stuff I speeded up and I put the Benny Hill theme to it. It's pretty cool. You got to watch it. So everybody, who's Benny Hill? So, but I sure appreciate everybody being here tonight. That's one thing. This channel is not going to, I'm never going to have a moderator here that's going to be quieting people, taking out their comments. I'm not saying Google doesn't show up and do that, but I'm not going to do that. You're welcome to come here and say whatever you want. You say something silly and doesn't make sense and is retarded, well, the people in the chat are going to look at you like that, okay? So, come here and try to, it's a lot easier to have a conversation and a debate with somebody who isn't acting childish. I'd say, I always put, no, this is not made for kids on my videos because this is made for adults here, okay? And not adults who act like children. This just adds to all this stuff, all this trouble we're having. That's one thing on social media platform. People don't have a problem at all getting on and being derogatory about your content or not like everything like that. Why? Constructive criticism is okay, but insulting? Anyway. There's a lot of, you got to be thick-skinned to be in social media, because I laugh it all off, okay? I think it's kind of funny, especially when people will get on me about something and they obviously never watched none of my other content, right? If they would have watched the other content, they would have put that reply down there, that comment down. Okay, or they ask a question, well, watch the rest of it. I got 500 and some videos on YouTube just on this channel, okay? So that's how you find out who a creator is. And I got a lot of my shorts that are short. And they'll show you what kind of person I am. Straight and to the point, I like to solve problems. Anyway, and the best thing about YouTube, they can censor me all day long and shadow ban me, but you know what? The YouTube algorithm still sees what I have to say. It gets in their little cronies. Anyway, I just can't believe we live in a society now where our First Amendment is restricted by a machine, and we got a government agency that regulates our Second Amendment with the ATF. Crazy. I just don't know what kind of country we live in anymore. They think more freedoms, more regulation. And pretty soon on YouTube, people say, you got to watch what you say, you got to watch what you say. Bullshit, I'm never going to watch what I say. I'm not yelling fire in a theater. I'm not telling anybody to go hurt anybody. I'm telling everybody that our enemy is our government, not your neighbor. And we all need to get along and band together. And we can make a peaceful trend, The government, we have the power. The government doesn't have the power. On election day, we gave Trump the authority. The people gave Trump the authority as president. But I admit that I'm not too happy with his performance so far. Okay? Haven't seen no Epstein list criminals in orange jumpsuits. He promised Hillary Clinton she was going to go to prison his first term. She's still running around, okay? But don't worry, they'll parade some drug dealer out in front of him in the cameras and stuff. But I'm not too happy. Not too happy. And see, that's one thing. On YouTube, I can go out and express it, okay? You better make sure you wear your seatbelt. Obey the speed limit. Make sure you don't ever look at a cop wrong. But if you want to have a lot of money and go to Epstein Island and, do all this other weird, be a real criminal and get away with it, that's okay. That's one thing I don't have time for our judicial system or law enforcement system at all if they're not going to do anything about the real criminals in this country. Just make sure the little people stay in line. That's what you're out there for, law enforcement. Make sure you keep the little people in line. Make sure they're scared of you. Intimidate them. Not to protect and serve, it's to intimidate. Remember, you're above the law. Anyway, this is what's going on in this world. And I'll be on YouTube until that stuff stops. And if I start making money on YouTube, then I want to make people laugh. We get through all this crazy stuff and YouTube's still around. Start on my own red-green show. But I want to make people laugh. I don't want to get all angry on this channel. But you know how you're supposed to not get angry when all you do is work harder and we go nowhere. You get punished if you succeed in today's world. I'm talking middle class gets punished. Okay? Because somebody who's sitting on their ass, not doing nothing, but still has their needs met because the middle class is paying for it. But they want what the middle class has. Bullshit. Then go out and work. All this jealousy. This is the thing why communism doesn't work. Because people are not common and people are not equal. Okay? This is why people don't have the same rewards. Because people don't have the same ambition or drive. Okay, some people, they hit a little stop sign, that's it, they're done. An ambitious person who wants to achieve his goals blows that stop sign over, the next stop sign over, and any other stop sign that's in their way until they succeed in their goal. So why shouldn't they have more rewards than somebody that just was jealous the whole time they were watching them do it? Thinking, God, I wish I was like that and ambitious and I could achieve something. Anyway, but, oh my gosh, almost 50 minutes. I always want to go only for about a half hour and then things get crazy. But anyway, yeah, I wish everybody would start a channel. I'd watch them. I know I got a few subscribers that I would like them to start channels, but they won't. And it's not for everybody, but that's why I'm here. To speak for people that think like me, because I'm not afraid to speak. Okay, whether it be on YouTube or whether it be in front of 1 million people. Okay, I'm passionate and I'll speak. I'll turn into Alex Jones if you want me to, but I'm not going to cry. But I'll tell you what, I can get just as worked up as he can. So anyway, you got to take technology, you got to use it for spreading the word. Like I say, this is the town crier now. Except you're not only just reaching the town. I got people all over the world watching this, which I appreciate. Because you know what? We're all in the same shit show together, because I do believe, these elites from other countries, it doesn't matter what nationality or color they are. They all seem to get along, and they all seem to have us fighting with each other. So everybody in the free world, it don't matter, free world, whatever country you're in, we're all in the same boat together. We got billions of us being run by a few million narcissistic fools. And I guess until we're ready to stand up and show them who the real power is and make them go run into their bunkers and turn them into their coffins, okay? I guess it's come to a point again where the world leaders need to be taught a lesson. So, and it's coming. You can only push people so far before they've had enough. And, no tyrant understands this. No tyrant obviously understood history, or they just think their way is going to be better this time and they're going to get people to follow. Okay. A human being is kind of an independent minded person, independent being. And they don't like being pushed a certain way. And the sheeple that do aren't worth anything anyway. Okay. So, anyway, I hope everybody enjoys me being on YouTube because I know YouTube doesn't. Anyway, that's just too bad. So, if you liked and subscribed, I appreciate it. Share the content. Go check out my shorts. You'll like them. You'll like them. It may upset you too, whatever. But some of them will get you an action, get a reaction. My kids told me once that my ex-wife watched one of my shorts and she bitched for 2 hours. It wasn't directed at her, but she took that short personal. So anyway, they're cool, okay? Short and sweet. That's the way you get the message across, short and sweet. The more words you're adding to it, you're just trying to convince somebody of something. Short and sweet, keep it short and sweet, speak your mind, let them make their own decisions. Anyway, but this channel, I want to bring people together. I'm so sick of the fighting and the hate. I'm tired of it. Just tired of it. In this race war they want to start, well, like I say, Charles Manson used to want a race war. So we're lowering ourselves to that level. I just don't understand it. Anyway, I'll be back again tomorrow night with another live. Don't know what the subject's going to be yet. And check out my shorts throughout the day. Tomorrow it's going to be nicer weather, so I'll probably make a few out there and out in the pasture when I'm out fencing and stuff. But I tell you what, I love it out here. I'll sit there and you'll see my shorts. Like I say, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere fencing, and I get to sit there and I'll stop for a half hour and take my lunch just on top of a hill, and just, you can't help but feel peace and tranquility out here. No stress is coming from any angle. Just relieving stress by working hard. Okay? And then everybody will understand what freedom is. That's one reason Indians really understood what freedom is, okay? And that's why their culture had to go, because our governments didn't need the white person thinking like that. But anyway, and now they're doing what they did to the Indians, they're doing to us. The white culture, the white man. It's crazy. And all these people on welfare, right? The Indians, they promised them all their supplies and stuff they need if they stayed on the reservation. How'd that work out for them again? Okay, if the supplies showed up, they're usually shoddy goods. Anytime the government promises you something, you're going to end up in the sinkhole, okay? All right, just like Social Security is going to fail one day. I've been rambling on enough. I am going to go. So anyway, everybody have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see what the interesting subject's going to be. See y'all later. This is Tom. I'm out.